Now, wait a minute. I feel low. Yeah. I've always said at my wedding, I'm going to 100% be the person to sing the shout song. You know you make me wanna. Oh, dude, I would get that thing going. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? So let it be in a bench press or a squat, a run, or whatever. The most distal, the furthest part of my body needs to be able to transmit all this force through it. So on the bench side of things, let it be my wrist's ability to maintain their position, not roll one way or another. That is another aspect or another way we can look at this whole strong base thing. So what I'm going to get into is talking mainly about ankle stiffness. My whole major throughout college, I even got some notes of some sort. My major throughout college was a lot about contractile tissue. And so we talked about how muscles contract, how they're made up. You got your actin, your myosin, and then they got the pulling of the globular heads on one and the other. But never really talked about ligament and tendon stiffness, whatnot there. So a friend of mine from the college days, John Evans, he does THP. You've probably seen the double leg high jumper who just did like 7 feet. And funny enough, he's from the same college I went to. He was a year older. I remember him being a RA and working down at the freaking front desk when we were going through college. But what he's been getting into is tendon stiffness, which along with the strength of the muscles can be all the more springy. So I might put a link down in the description below to his stuff just so you can kind of check that out and even get into some of that if you want. But to be a better jumper, muscles is a mechanical contraction. Those globular heads are walking and walking and walking in that contraction. And so what he's getting at is the real elastic parts of our body being the tendons. So, also ATG, Athletic Truth Group. I don't even know what John's THP stands for. Let me see something for a second. Come here. Is it going to be like the high people because they all jump high? Let's see. Come with me and we'll see. THP. John Evans. What does THP stand for? Translating human performance? Yeah? All right. Translating human performance is your THP, while ATG with Ben Patrick is the Athletic Truth Group. So let's say you go to physical therapy for a tendonitis or Achilles tendinopathy. You may, one, do eccentric exercises to get that muscle on cake, all these things that at least John has gone a little bit more into than me. That's why, again, trust sources that have information to back it. I've been going into it a good bit, haven't necessarily fully understood the mechanisms behind it, but I 100% am in because it makes complete sense. Contractile versus purely elastic fashions of tendons. Oh, there we go. But also the fact that we need a good base to be able to transmit force through. So if I am just having these relaxed fists and punching something, it's not going to necessarily be good. So whenever, like punching a bag, I want to not let my wrists roll. Let me see if this gets all me in this. Okay. But at least when I strike, I don't want that wrist to roll and be flaccid, relaxed, docile. Much rather, I need a stiff contact with it. Now, I know my wrestling ways. I'm down here and keep myself up. But nonetheless, I want stiff contact. It's a big thing. So, in our plyometrics and even running in general, I don't need this floppy foot. Let me make sure I didn't charge this from last time. I want a stiff foot. I want something just like my fists that when I strike, it does what I want it to do. It's not going to give out. It's not Golgi tendon organs getting lit up because there's too much force here. And then all of a sudden we turn off the muscles associated. And so that could happen in your triple jump. So at least he goes into near maximal loading as well. There's a thing neurologically that kind of helps in at least freeing your body up to produce more force. But on a plyometric side, if I'm to be doing single leg hops here, or if it just is bounds in general, I want to make sure that my foot is stiff there, hitting the ground. It's not going to be this, like I say, plop, this jelly of a thing. If at the end of my hammer, it was jelly, I wouldn't be able to freaking hammer many things in. It's going to just shatter right as I go. Increased stiffness and eccentric loading, near maximal exertion, all that. And then plyos, you got the stiffness aspect of it too, but it's also a big thing with neuromuscular firing, being able to do things quickly and assertively. But I'm going through my own workout too. Where did I put my yellow band? Oh, dang it. It's all the way over here. I think. Let me see. I'm not moving you. I'm just going to let you follow me here. But your foot is a very complex thing. Same with your hands. And so I do have an arch there. And sometimes doing things barefoot to help create that arch. Wonder if you guys can even see. Let me see. Let me move you back here a little bit. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, yeah. Bridges, arches, very strong foundations for things to be set on. But if we are not mindful with our feet, especially in the beginning, we can't quite create anything and sustain that. Funny enough, I always had people talking bad about Converse shoes growing up, but very minimalist shoe. They might have a small toe box. And so in that way, they are a cast, keeping my toes from spreading out. Funny enough, I got a neighbor who their children, they don't wear shoes until they're like 6 years old, and or if it's the winter time, they'll wear shoes. But for most of the year, they avoid the use of shoes. And in that process, you're growing much more strong feet. They're not in a cast and atrophying away all the time. You're just tagged that. You're creating something that is a good base structure for you to walk, run, do whatever you want in without the assistance of this cast that our feet live in. So if we want to, one, have better feet, one thing might be to do it just wearing your shoes less, allowing those toes to spread on out. Ooh. Rather than them being just shoved in that toe box. You see all those bunions and the closed-toed shoes that just jam them into a little wedge shape. I mean, how is that even a good idea? And those kids, the toes are a little more splayed out. If you even look at people who are minimalists and they might have pictures of their feet online where that big toe even starts to drift out and away more like a thumb. But obviously it's not a thumb. But what they get from all that is a much more durable foot than the ones most of us have in our shoes. So especially if you are unable to really make an arch in your foot, often I have people, I might even have to, it's a nice quick pump there. A lot of blood flow, holy shnikes, just from doing some rotators. Whew. But, let's see here. Wonder how low can we go? Okay, I gotta bring you over here. So, one thing, if you're unable to squeeze from the ball of your foot to your heel, that is one way I create my own arch. And so if you're unable to really think about that, ooh, I can roll it in, flatten out, but then I grab the ground with those toes, not just scrunch them in, but just like if I were to just dig my fingertips into the ground, do that, and then I'm squeezing just like if it were my ridge, the top ridge of my hand into my palm. I'm just trying to get that little squeeze there on in to create something. But if you're unable to really create something, trying to get this little corner of mats right here. So if I'm unable to really create anything there, I've had clients of mine who I put them out on the edge of the mat here, and if you notice, well, my heel isn't touching, and if I want to be able to hold my body weight off the ground, I need to create that arch anyways in order to be here. So it's more like on a platform on the front of my foot where the back's off. Ooh. And at least this is where I can build muscles to help, maybe with a rolled ankle. Some people have rolled their ankles and then they get absolutely destroyed. But, oh yeah, that's just a whole nother thing. But it all comes back to the line of thought of creating stiffness. Ooh. Creating stiffness in the body part that's going to be transmitting these forces through it. Coming along. Are you leaning back? I think you're leaning back a little bit. Which one of these is not? What the heck? Or are you flat? Are you flat? You might be flat. Whoa, I was about to spill everything. That was going to be a fun time. It looks like it's leaning back. Am I going crazy? I might be going crazy. Who cares? Now again here too, if I am unable to hold my position in the squat, everything caving in, because again, create the arch. Create the arch. Knees are over top of my feet. I'm pushing through my feet, and then my feet have their arch of their own to where I'm then evenly able to push through my whole foot there. It's not going to be just rolling on the outside of these feet, gripping that ground and able to push through my foot. But it's not the inside of that foot. My inside of my foot, if I look at my heat signatures on where my socks are on the ground, heat signatures, big words for just where I'm leaving my footprint. But you're not going to see the inside of that foot, especially if I'm going into something like deadlifts here. I can feel big toes on the ground, pinkies on the ground, balls of feet, heels, but not that inside of my foot. This is where I do like single leg exercises because you have to focus on that one foot, but you're giving it a stimulus to help stiffen up them ankles to where I can do this crappily and still make it work. So let it be single leg step ups. I can still, and again, on this weight, I like it because there's nothing here in the middle. Putting my pressure through the ball of my foot, my heel, and not allowing that midfoot come touch the ground. Or it's not going to be with this stack of weight. But we can easily make it a little bit more difficult with a soft ground here. But even then, even though it's more difficult to hold, are we making sure this foot is what it is and what we want, or are we just making it more difficult and then falling about the place? You got to kind of look at your abilities therein. But ankle stiffness, wrist stiffness, even wrist stiffness you might need a little bit more of for this pole vault stuff. Because I'm going to have that contact there. Am I really able to fire through my wrists? I had my football days. So for me, I was just hitting people. And even in the beginning, this stuff would fold and I would like hit them with my shoulder or whatever. But as I got more strong, more capable of doing these actions correctly, easy peasy lemon squeezies. I wasn't having to necessarily worry about if my arms were going to give out. I just put force through, shed the block, do whatever the heck I wanted. But obviously this is me just going on a rant while I work out. But the big thing is ankle stiffness and how to get it. Let it be from balance work. Let it be from plyos. You're also going to get some good things coming from eccentric loading, but there's a lot more damage that is caused in eccentric loading. So we need to make sure we don't overload, because that is 100% a thing. It shouldn't be something just, oh, I'm an athlete. That's not going to happen. Oh, it happens all the time, especially if you start pinpointing certain things you want to get better. So if you're able to journal and keep track of, I did this weight for this many reps. I did a modified version. I didn't necessarily do it with heel raise, but then later on when I do heel raise on a slant board, I'm making sure that I am progressing slowly with this. You don't need to just run into it. I want to be methodical about my stuff. And then, especially with the near maximal exertion, I don't want to just do a crappy rep. All right. Now, also there was Olympic stuff. Let it be speed of contraction and or force output over a certain period of time. So like watching bar speed, I have a certain weight on here and I'm able to accelerate it so much, and that's the force I'm able to produce in this quick of a time. So another way to train yourself would be on that. So if I'm looking at all the parameters for jumping, speed of contraction, getting the neural stimulus to where I know it's just quick movement. I'm stiffening up those body parts, but then also working on my real elasticity, which is going to be from my patella tendon, my Achilles calcaneal tendon. Many of those big boys are big contributors into your natural stiffness. And maximal exertion, being able to see what your output can be for your legs, whatever it might be, you want to be able to at least increase that. And then that's part of this whole force output thing. So that'll be slow contractions, not necessarily fast ones, but then I'm doing cleans and jerks, which will be a lighter weight than my max in a deadlift or so, because I need to get this up to my shoulders. I'm going to move it quick, but in that same breath, I am moving that bar so fast that the force is very high anyways. So it's not like it's going to be an easy workout just to do cleans and jerks. It's just different. That's the thing. But yeah, so there's just so many of these things though that John has been going through. Even like bent knee, calf raises, getting a weight on here and going through that. You're working more your soleus muscle and whatnot, so it's able to contribute to the jumping. A lot of jumping, you get the flattening of the foot, and then that soleus will help pull and pronate your foot. And so that's a jumping muscle. So there's parts of this to where he is working that more than even the gastroc, which will be just a straight up contraction of that foot. But then there's also then that little bit of pronation that we get. And we're trying to get as much as we can out of a little bit of movement. It's not like you're in a deep squat. So doing quarter squats, there is a reason for it all. But why are we doing this stuff in PT and then you never do it again once you're healthy? Let me see here. So the soleus muscle is what's under your gastroc. There's a deep one there. Oftentimes when kids are like, yo, can you do the like scraping on my leg thing? And I'm like, yeah, it's going to hurt. But we'll see what muscle is really bugging you. Oops. Lower leg, part of the calf. Plantar flex of the ankle joint. Running and jumping contributes to posture, pumps blood back to the heart. Is it a pronator? Does it pronate? Oh, supinates. Shit. I had that backwards. Pronate's going to be when it flattens out. Supinate. It pulls the foot downwards and inwards while rolling the foot inwards. Excessive pronation. Yeah, plantar flexion, supination, posture and standing, all that. Force absorption. Helps absorb shock during activities like running, jumping, and all of that. So, especially if you're a big jumper, that soleus muscle, your gastroc is one that everybody always thinks about, but it crosses the knee joint. And so whenever you're straight leg doing like calf raises, it's going to be the gastroc muscle, not necessarily the soleus really at all. And those people who want their legs scraped, and how I know it's the soleus because it's right under the gastroc. Let me see here if I can do that. But my buddy John's got some videos of them doing these calf raises, and I wonder who wrote the book of blue. Let me see. Let me get my foot elevated some. A little further away. Getting it up. I drop all the way down. But he has a buddy on there who's the 50-inch vertical guy. They got him pushing down on it, having this near maximal effort of even the soleus in this. Now, this is a way to do this, but you really need one of those calf machines to get this good. Oh. But because my knee is bent, the gastroc isn't as stretched out. It doesn't have the same amount of load put on it to where the soleus is going to be the one acting a lot there. When I jump, it's not like my knee is fully bent, but it's also not perfectly straight. So it's not like it's just the gastroc working. Hell, most people when they jump, they strike in that quarter squat. Oh, man. Wow. I can feel. Oh, maybe this is what I need on this right foot too. But nonetheless, catch yourself in a quarter squat, you get jumping off of that. That's what's going to be one thing to really help yourself. In this jumping ability. Is getting those muscles solely reliant in this, making them stronger, making them stiffer, making them whatever it might be, more neurally excitable. We'll do that. You turn on your glutes. You don't turn on your glutes at all. You got to find them. Do you even have any neural connections there? Maybe not. Maybe that's why you can't really use your glutes. Or you're using your back more than them. But having a conceited effort to make them more excitable. Man, that loosened up my ankles a good bit. Now, hell, maybe even to keep going down that nervous system route. I had a girl last week, and she had a final exam the day that she went to go jump the second time in the week. But that first time in the week, she PRs. Awesome day. And then within 2 days, tries to go maximal again and isn't able to perform. I wasn't necessarily too surprised because I was also like, why did we try and jump again? Like, you're already qualified for nationals and all you need. It's not like you need to rush in another jump. And so, unfortunately, she didn't do too good and almost like got rejected onto the runway. Whole thing happens because people aren't just, I don't know, just thinking there. But takes 2 to 3 days, depending on how maximal it was. But it takes 2 to 3 days for your body to recover. Let it be neurotransmitters or dopamine or whatever you have depleted of your body. It needs to replenish for a maximal exertion. Let's say you drained your energy bar. Okay? It's not like we're batteries. It's not like you drain it. We can recoup. It takes a second. Just like if your creatine gets killed in a maximal sprint, it takes 4 to 5 minutes for your body to recoup that on up. So maybe we lost creatine, maybe we lost glucose glycogen stores in that maximal effort day, especially with pole vault. There's a little endurance put into the explosive part of this, so it's very exhausting. 2 days later, you shouldn't be able. If it was a near maximal day, you shouldn't be able to perform again. If my bench press max is 275 and I do that, I should not be able to do it again the next day, because if I can, then that's not my max. Yeah, there's a little piece for that. And then, funny enough, had a kid up in Greencastle. Let me get that a little wider. Kid up in Greencastle who was working out and practicing every day, big jumps. Funny enough, he comes in after doing big one day, and he goes, well, I just can't do it 2 days in a row. What the heck? So I tell him, no, that's not how this thing works, my bud. You're not going to be able to do maximal 2 days in a row because it's your max. So if you put it to the equivalent of bench and blah, 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 and he understood, it literally took 3 days off and PR'd at the meet that they were at. And I'm like, but this is what I'm talking about. You need to be able to give your body the rest it needs and able to perform in the way you want it. Just as good as working hard is, you need to rest hard. If my week is a Friday, Saturday meet, I'm killing it Monday, Tuesday. It is when I get to Wednesday, if it's a Friday meet, I might dial it back. If it's a Saturday meet, it might still be moderate. Thursday, if it's a Friday meet, we're doing a warm-up, stretch, do a couple handoffs. We ain't doing a lot. Pole vaulters, pack the poles. That's it. If it's a Saturday meet, we might do a little bit of something. You might do long jump, triple jump. But again, it's not maximal exertion. We get a couple runs in and you're done. And Friday, it's a pre-meet for Saturday, just like Thursday was to Friday, doing the warm-up, doing stretches, maybe do handoffs, maybe do some 1 or 2 longs. I need to make sure my foot is close. I don't even need it to be on. I need it to be close for long jump, triple jump, whatever. If you need some extra practice jumps for pole vault, bare minimum. I rarely ever have people do anything the day before. It is what it is. So, yeah. The whole nervous system thing and even all this THP to AGT stuff it's different things than what you're often hearing about from your personal trainer or whatever it might be, because it's not what we get, especially if you get a master's in exercise science or even bachelor's there. It's going to be the contractile tissues that we know and love and all that. But funny enough, after college is where I've learned a lot about this tendon stuff. And it's not like it wasn't in my head, but it wasn't the main driver in me thinking about working with that and making sure those are bulletproof. Obviously, it doesn't bulletproof nothing. Everybody's invincible. Nobody's invincible except for Invincible himself. But, you got to take in information, critically analyze, at least is this useful information or not. And I really do think this is very useful information. And I like to push it to everybody so that we are all being educated with it. Because, this is one thing that they're totally not avoiding, but we just don't talk about in an exercise science background. And we do go a little bit into it, but it's not like how we go into depth with contractile tissues. We don't talk about elastic tissues that much. But other than that, how long has this been? 35 minutes? Cool. My device storage is almost full. Work your elasticity. Eccentric movements, especially with the ankle. Near maximal lifts but keeping it within your wheelhouse. Plyos. But you need to, with all these things, you start with the load very small, stimulus very small. Make sure you progress with this, and maybe it's double leg hops, and then next week single legs, and then it becomes single leg bounds, and then it becomes more forceful. Okay? So, other than that, peace out. We'll get to the next thing on the next one, whenever that is. Trying to do them weekly, but it's championship season now. There's just one thing on my mind that I've been even working with a lot of the kids with. Ankle stiffness. Take your shoes off. Let the dogs breathe. Open up them toes. Literally put your fingers in between your toes and roll them around. That was one thing a client was telling me that her person on the side was even doing. So get those toes free a little bit. All these kids going, oh, the dogs is out. Oh, the dogs is out. Yeah, the dogs is out. Because the dogs need big puppies down bottom to hold and support them, right? The dogs is out with the dogs. So, peace out, y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll catch y'all next one. Bye.